It's a great brush to have on hand. When I'm painting, I change up all of my different brushes kind of throughout the painting just to give it a lot of variety. But it's also really cool if you only use one brush on a painting, because then it's kind of like, it gives it almost kind of an abstract feel, because it's like, especially if you're using a flat brush, you have these very squared off strokes, and it's a really cool effect. It totally just depends on what you want to do, but you can do a lot with different brushes. And that's what I wanted to encourage you to do, is to just explore and see all that you can do. Okay, so this is an angled brush, and it is very similar to a flat brush, but it has an angle on the edge, and I'll show you. And do you see these spots right there? That's actually dry, semi-dry paint underneath the yellow that I just mixed coming up off of the palette, so that is something to note. If your paint is dry, maybe it's not best to mix paint right on top of it, because it may reactivate it and then you're going to get chunks in your paint. So that is a rule in what not to do. So I'm going to mix this over here outside of, on a not an old dry spot. Okay, here is this nice thin line. This angular brush is so nice, which you can see it here. It's like a flat, but has that angle. It's really nice because you can get some really great shapes with it. But one of my favorite ways to use it is doing fun little patterns. And I also use it for Italy trees in my Italy series. But you can get some really cool little patterns by just dabbing it. And this angled handle, what's cool about this angled handle is that it kind of, or brush, is that it allows your hand to rest in a comfortable position and make marks. Like, you could get these marks with the flat brush, but you'd have to have your hand up like this to get it, because it's the way that the brush is angled. So this allows you to make some really cool marks in a comfortable position. And I just really like my angle brush. I don't use it all the time. It's kind of one of those brushes that I just kind of use whenever I'm needing something a little special or different, but it's a really nice one to have in your painting arsenal. And you can, I think this whole pack that I got these, I feel like I just got these in a pack of like 5, and it wasn't terribly expensive. So you can definitely find you a nice angled brush out there for pretty cheap. Okay, the next brush I want to show you is, this is a script liner, and it comes in different, like here's one, this is different. It's a little bit shorter, and it's, what are those called? Hairs are sticking out more, but when you get it wet, it'll look like this. And this is great for details. I use this mainly in watercolor, but there have been times where I use it in acrylic as well. So I just want to show you just as an option of what it can look like. I was kind of getting the same problem over there in that green with the old paint showing up, so I'm trying to just get some newer paint on the brush. And this is great because it's long. It can hold a lot of paint, and you can get a really nice long line. See? And you can get so thin. It can get really, really, really thin. Look at that thin line. You can do really fine details with this. So if you had something that had a lot of lines and you just needed it to be very thin and detailed, this is great. It's also based off of how hard, the amount of pressure you put, it will change the thickness of the line. So I'm doing more pressure and then thin and then more pressure, which I'm running out of paint on there, so I need to load my paint up. And this will work better if your paint is pretty watered. That's why I really like these best with watercolor, but sometimes, you know, at maybe the very last stages of an acrylic painting, you would need this. So it is good to just have one of these.